Well, it's good to be back in the shop after our little vacation. I say little vacation. Got about 7 days. It was a whirlwind of a trip. It was a lot of fun. Took the grandkids, took my mom. I took mom because she was born and raised in South Dakota and never been to Mount Rushmore. So, like I said, it was a whirlwind of a trip. It really was. 3,682 miles round trip in 7 days. More details and footage of all of that will be in a video coming soon on my Miscellaneous channel if you're interested. I'm not going to have time this week to get any turning done because I have to finish this frame and that I need to now put splines in. So I need to finish this frame and I need to make another one. My daughter has requested a frame for a picture that her daughter painted of one of her other daughters. It's really pretty, but it's a huge painting. It's 30 by 40, so this will be my biggest frame today. This has been my biggest up till right now, and then I'm going to be doing one bigger. Anyway, doing a lot of framing on request. That eats up my turning time, but you know, it is what it is. So check this out. I've got this, I had this glued up and in the clamps before I left. Just breaking the corners on this oak because oak has a tendency to be pretty splintery if you leave sharp edges, and it don't like it. So I'm just breaking these corners a little bit with some rough and then smoothing it. I've already sanded the back so it's nice and flat. And I've sanded these edges and these grooves. Okay, now I need to cut the spline, and when I get that figured out, I'll come back. There's just enough not flat on the back of this to keep me from clamping it. It kicks it out. So I'm going to have to hold it. I'm going to have to hold it like this. Splines I'm using are a little bit thicker than the grooves. As you can see, it won't go in there. So I need to move it over just a little bit and make another cut. Okay, that'll do. Let me get some splines cut now. Okay, got the splines cut, got them glued in. So basically I'm just removing the excess glue from around the splines using a damp cloth. Basically I'm doing this so I have less sanding to do because the glue is going to sand harder than this walnut. So how do I sand this cove right here with this? This is 100 grit sandpaper. It'll take you a little bit to get all that down, but I can do it. Now we let these dry overnight, and then I'll get them sanded up tomorrow. The rest of it's pretty much sanded. I need to smooth the inside of this out yet because it's rough. And then once I get that done and this is all ready to go, then I will start applying color. Yes, I'm going to use color on this frame. Not paint, just stains or dyes. Okay, I've started laying down the gray. I'm doing it very lightly and rubbing it off as best I can. I don't want it to get too dark and I don't want it to penetrate too deeply. I'm using a small bit of an old sheet to apply it because it holds up better than a paper towel. Although it's starting to shred some now too. But I'm almost through with the gray here, so I will toss this when I'm done. Okay, I know it don't look like much right now, but I will let this sit for a little bit. I don't know, 20-30 minutes, enough to let the stain start to evaporate some. Small brush, apply a little bit of this on here. I think that looks pretty good. This is hard on the back, I want you to know, but it's for my wife and it's going to be worth it. Actually, it's for us, but my wife asked me to do this frame for this painting that my granddaughter gave us for Christmas. She painted it. She's an awesome artist. I don't know if y'all have seen any of the stuff that I've posted that she does, but she is amazing, and I'm not just saying that because I'm her grandfather. All right, now I will let that set for a little bit. So after I let this dry a little while, I'll come back. Okay, let's see how bad I can screw this up. Now I'll let this dry a little while and try my embellishing wax. So this is either going to work or it won't. Clean bit of cloth. I think I like it. Now I have to let it sit overnight to cure, and then I can come in here in the morning and shoot the final coat of finish on it. Okay, time to start building up the pecky Cypress. Okay, now I got to figure out where I'm going to go now. Okay, the rough layout is done. Cut this into some more manageable pieces. Now I need to raise the blade, tilt it, and cut some angles. When I'm ready to do that, I'll come back. Okay, I've got everything set up. The blade's set at about 7 degrees, so I will run all these through and make the first cut. Alright, I'll take the blade back to 90, set up for the next cut. Okay, I think I'm set up for the next cut. Let's boogie. Gives me a little ridge right there. It'll be sandable. Okay, I'm going to set up for one more cut. And when I'm ready for that, I'll come back. Alright, so now I have a ridge right here. I can round these corners off and I think it'll look good. I still need to round this off too so that they all look the same, but that's no big deal. Normally I would round these over with a roundover bit in my trim router. However, it's got a bearing follower to keep it from going too deep, and it's going to sink into these pecky spots, so I can't use it because it'll gouge the sides. So what I'm going to have to do is just round these corners with my sander and 100 grit sandpaper. The hardest part of milling these frame pieces is done now. So what I'm going to do is, before I make any more sawdust, now all that's left for me to do is sand these up really good all the way around and round the corners, and then I can cut the angles on them and cut them to length and start putting it together. But before I do that, without making any more sawdust, I need to spray the finish on that frame and get it done. I wanted to use gloss poly on this, but I don't have any. I don't feel like running to the store. So I'm going to use gloss lacquer. The reason I wanted to use poly is because of the amber qualities of it. I know it would pop this gold better, or at least I think it would. Half hour I can come back and put another coat on. That's actually kind of pretty. I think one more coat might do it. Okay, the lacquer is all dry. It's nice. I like it. It's shiny. I took some powdered feeding wax and put it on the back. Waited about 20 minutes and buffed it out. I engraved my name and my granddaughter's name on the back of the frame. And now I need to mount this. Well, I bought some of these glazier push points and this tool to put them in with. But this oak is so hard, the pin just bends. So let me see if I can come up with another way to get this fastened, and I'll come back. They make, I probably should have bought it, they make special points and a kind of a stapler tool to do frames like this that you pop in and then you can bend them up and replace the picture. Well, I got to thinking about that. I've got this stiff wire. It is 17 gauge. It's for electric fences, but it's really stiff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same principle as those others. I'm making me some pilot holes, and I hope this works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill these holes at a bit of an angle. If I use the right size bit, I should be able to press these in. Yep. Redneck engineering at its finest, folks. It's in, it's pretty solid, it's not going anywhere. It ain't the prettiest job in the world, but it ain't the worst either. If it was just been had this frame been made out of something other than oak, these would have worked just fine. Just shows you there's no obstacle you can't overcome if you think about it. So I've got these loops, these hooks. That's what this drill bit is for. And earlier, I cut a length of wire, that same wire that I just used, that I'm going to wrap around those hooks. This should be plenty strong to hold this. It's not that heavy. But I don't really want these just sticking out. I think I want them at an angle so that it doesn't stick so far away from the wall. I want to be in the thickest part of the frame, which is out here. I'm going to come down 3 inches, pop me a starter. Now, to save wear and tear on my thumb, I bought this little deal here a while back just for things like this, not for nuts and bolts. I've got stuff for that. That works pretty good. It'd work really good if I wasn't at an angle. That ought to hold it, because it is not that heavy. It's not done professional framer style, but I'm not a professional framer. But I guarantee you it's going to work, and it's going to hold, and it's going to last. So I can now take this upstairs to my wife, upstairs, up the hill, not upstairs, and see where she wants me to hang it. And then I will get back to work on these. Here it is, hung in its place of prominence. It's kind of a dark room, but Some of these lights in these ceiling fans just are not dark enough or light enough, but you know, it is what it is. I'm happy with it. Okay, now it is time to round over these edges some. So I think what I'm going to do is put this around my sponge because I have more control with my hand, and I can get it shape that I want easily, and it doesn't take that much longer. And like I said, I have more control. Yeah, I like that. Much better than what I was getting with the random orbit. Now I'll do the same thing to this edge. I won't round it quite so much. I just want to break it so that it doesn't splinter, because this Cypress is bad about splintering. It's also pretty oily and gums up the sandpaper. Anyway, this is the way that's going to go. When I get that all done, I'll come back. Now I'm going to sand each piece with 150 and 220, and that will round these edges over some and get me to where I want to be. Okay, that rounded those just nicely, so no splinters there. And I will continue that same process with the 150 and 220 until these are all sanded, and I'll come back. A little oily, but that's this Cypress. It's kind of an oily wood. So now I need to trim the angles on these and cut them to size, but it's getting late, so I'll do that tomorrow. I think I'm going to be really happy with this. Well, as sometimes I do, I got in a little bit of a hurry and forgot to hit record. But I've cut the 45 on one end of all of these pieces. So now what I need to do is turn this around to get my 45s. But before I do that, I need to measure to make this 35 inches. And I'm not going to be able to use a stop block, so I'm just going to have to do it all by hand and hope they're close enough. Let me get all my measurements done and I'll come back. Now the most critical part of the milling procedure, and that is cutting these to length. Perfect. Perfect. That's the hard part of the cutting done. The next hard part is about to begin. I gotta glue it together. Oh, why is that hard, Billy? I do not have a single work surface in this shop, even if I were to clean them all off, that's big enough to glue those up. It's 35 by 45, and as you can see, it's wider than my table saw. That's the 35. The 45 would fit, but fall off the edges. If I didn't have a clamping system that I could clamp it up with. So I went to Rockler today and I bought this Bessie system. Totaling all the inches up, I need about 13.5 feet of strap in order to clamp this. Most of the strap clamps I found, aside from this one, will only do about 13.2 feet. That's not enough. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to get that all sorted, and then I will come back. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take these pieces into the house. I have a table in there that's not being used. It's big enough. It's an old table that's older than I am. I cut my teeth on the sides of it. It's been in the family that long. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to put some wax paper at the corners and glue it up and clamp it inside the house. I don't know any other way to do it. So I'll film that with my phone. I need to cut the splines in these corners, but before I do that, I need to sand the backs of these corners. So got some wax paper stuck to them in places. And I basically just need to make sure these corners are nice and flat. I'll go ahead and make a sanding run down each length as well. But this is pretty much what it's going to look like. And when I get all that sanded up and get ready to do the splines, I'll come back. Okay, I'm going to try to cut these. They're awfully tall, and I hope I don't hit what I've got hanging from the ceiling. We'll see. use this piece of oak for the splines. I have already made sure it fits. I'm going to take this over to the bandsaw. We'll cut them a little oversized, so I'll come back. Okay, first thing I want to do, make sure I can glue in the bottom. Use what you can do. Yeah, I know. Feel your paint like you would. Now we'll leave this sit to dry overnight. When I come back tomorrow, I will sand the front side up and we'll start painting. I'm going to use this bare antique brass. I think it'll be really pretty. So that's pretty much how this is going to go on all four corners. And when I get that done, I'll come back. And I don't know how that's showing up, but that's really cool. I think I might have forgot to film it, but it's okay. I've got one coat sprayed on, and I don't think it's going to need any more. This, I like the look of this as it is. It's got a touch, but I've got to let it dry overnight. One of the cool things I like about it is where the grain is harder. This cypress is a lot like pine. There's pieces of hard grain and soft grain. And it sits on top of the hard grain and soaked into the soft grain, and it just looks cool. I like it. Well, here it is, all done. You can see the shine on it. It looks pretty good. I really like it. Like I said, you can see the gloss. Some of the now these areas here where the pecky stuff is, there's nothing I can do to get those to take a gloss. It's just going to keep soaking in. But the rest of it has glossed up nice. I like the striation. You can still see the grain under that antique brass paint, and I've already shown it to my daughter. She likes it. So now I got to take it up to the house and get it mounted. So this is what it looks like all mounted up. This thing is huge. It's as big as this table. It's crazy. But that's the picture that my granddaughter painted of her sister, and that's the frame I made for it. So another one down. Now I can get back to turning. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I do. Come back and join us next time. Never know what we're going to be doing around here.